What is going down, Sourdough Squad? We have a jam-packed practice breakdown coming to you right now. We've got some good, some not so good in regards to the San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks. We have injuries, we have offensive line shuffle ups, uh we have a lot of different stuff to talk about in a bunch of different categories outside just the quarterback. However, there will be a massive quarterback focus on this show based on the way all three, that's right, I said all three performed today. Also, we got a George Kittle story. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Let's get into it all right after this. You already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Let's get after it. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, gang? We had another jam-packed practice straight from Santa Clara. It was a good day. Let's start. I'm gonna start off. We're of course gonna talk quarterbacks. We're gonna talk all that good stuff. There's plenty of good and bad to come out of the 49ers quarterback stuff. So we're gonna talk about all that, break that down. But today was a cool day because shout out to someone who hooked me up with VIP tickets today. So I was in the VIP section, and which meant that I was right next to the field that the 49ers were practicing on. So I got a really close up and personal look on everything that went down at practice today. So it was one of the better vantage points that I've had ever covering 49ers training camp. So I got a lot of good looks at some things that normally I wouldn't. So very excited about that. One of the things that happened today at 49ers training camp. Um I so George Kittle and George has been following me on Instagram for probably like 6 years now. Um, we've had a lot of back and forth. We've talked quite a bit over the last 6 years or so. But today was the first day that I actually finally got to meet George, and it was a pretty funny exchange, pretty much about how I would anticipate the exchange to go. Um, so he's signing autographs, and what's cool about the VIP section is there's not a lot of people over there. So it's way more like relaxed and like calm. So he's just kind of working his way down the line. And I was at the end of the line talking to someone at the security, one of the people that I'm really cool with security. So we were just chopping it up, and Kittle is working his way down the line, and we kind of like he comes like towards me, and I look at him, and I'm like, "What's up, George?" And he's like, "Hey, I know you." And we do the whole bro hug thing. He's like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And he's this this is this is so George. This is so Greg. Greg, um he pinches my man bun. He pinches it and goes, "Ooh, the flow's looking long," and pinches my man bun, and then he has his hat on, but his hair's tucked into it, and then he takes his hat off and lets his hair flow down, and so we're basically comparing hair at this point, which is hilarious because it's the exact same thing that we did when he hopped on my live a while back, and he hopped on with this crazy long hair, and I was just growing out my hair. It was hilarious. Some other people came up and like got autographs and all that, but it was pretty funny. Finally got to meet the infamous Greg, and he complimented me on the flow, and his flow was looking phenomenal, I might add. So that was pretty funny. Um, Super cool. That's why I love going to training camp. Super cool, just because like you get to meet all these people or hang out with all these people that you interact with like on social all the time. So it was pretty cool. Also, again, like I said, really cool vantage point. I was right next to the action, got to see everything today. So I figured what we can do is we can hop right into the whole quarterback. Or no, no, no. Before we get into the quarterback, we have a couple administrative things era because the San Francisco 49ers made a couple roster moves. We had some injury updates. So we're going to get through the injury updates. We'll get through the roster moves because the injuries had a big impact on the way training camp all went down. But we did find out after training camp that the 49ers did sign defensive back Anthony Averett and placed Terrence Marshall on injured reserve. So the 49ers continuing to add cornerback depth. He's still somewhat young. I believe he's heading into year 6, so he's a veteran with some experience. Also, we did find out too that there were some injuries, and so one of the things too that I noticed right away in walkthroughs was the starting offensive line. The starting offensive line for walkthroughs was a lineup I had never seen before. Starting at left tackle was Leroy Watson. Again, this is the ones. This is first string. Um, and Leroy Watson starting at left tackle. Nick Zakel at left guard, and then Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Colton McKivitz. So, like, the depth is being tested early. No Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks has a concussion, come to find out. Banks has a concussion. Feliciano has an injury, I believe shoulder. So Feliciano isn't even practicing. Jalen Moore, I saw off to the side, and he was not moving well. So Jalen Moore clearly, it sounds like he's avoided a serious injury, but he's injured. Like he's not moving well. I mean, like when I talk about like the type of work he's doing off to the side, he's walking backwards, like gingerly walking backwards. So Jalen Moore looks like he's going to be out for some time. And basically your primary backup interior offensive lineman was Jonathan Feliciano. He's out. So the 49ers, like I tweeted about this yesterday, talking about because it was just a thought I had about the 49ers not drafting any offensive linemen and how with Jalen Moore going down, their depth is instantly going to get tested. Well, it's getting tested right away. The 49ers offensive line, I think you had Jason Poe taking first string reps today. So offensive line, man, is getting tested early in regards to depth. So for me, little concerning to see that already. I mean, I get it. Trent Williams isn't practicing. He's, had the day off, so that's fine. But at the same time, man, it's like O-line's such a tough position to get hurt at because it affects so much of the continuity. And it's unfortunate. They held up okay today. They gave up a couple sacks here or there, but for the most part, they came up all right. They started out all right. It wasn't too bad, but definitely offensive line depth is getting tested pretty early. So we'll see how that continues to progress. I would imagine, obviously, because Aaron Banks is dealing with the concussion, it's not going to last too long. So he'll probably be back. But let's hop right into the team period. I'm going to go through it kind of in chronological order. I'll tell you what stood out to me. I'll tell you what I liked. We'll talk about the quarterbacks. I'll talk about the quarterbacks in a little bit high level overview, and then I'll kind of run through the more specific, detailed plays. I'll say this. I think, when you look at the way the quarterbacks played today, I thought they all did good things today. I thought, minus Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen didn't practice today. He practiced, he didn't take any reps. So I know that's been a big point of emphasis in regards to this kind of quarterback rotation. Brandon Allen didn't take any reps today. It was all Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold. And to be honest, that's probably how it should be, with Brock Purdy looking fully healthy, and the way that Sam and Trey have been playing. Honestly, Brandon Allen feels like a perfect practice squad quarterback right now. I really do think you gotta rely on the upside that Sam Darnold and Trey Lance provide. Um, I don't think you keep Brandon Allen right now over any of those two quarterbacks unless you are moving on from one of those two guys. So I did like the rep share a little bit better today. Um, Brock is looking more and more comfortable by the day, and that's how I'm evaluating him. I understand he is fresh off the injury. Again, both Trey Lance is off an injury too, but Trey Lance was cleared back at OTAs and rookie minicamp. So he's got a little bit of a leg up right now on Purdy in the comfortable category. So right now with Brock, we're trying to determine his comfortability within the pocket, back on the field, all those types of things. And each and every day, it feels like he's gotten more and more and more comfortable. Today felt like normal Brock. Today felt like um, everything was fine. You know what I mean? Like from a vibe standpoint, from an operation standpoint, Brock seemed like Brock. And he made a lot of good throws today, but he also had some misses. And so this all depends on how you want to look at it. Again, perspective. Perspective is everything, and obviously it pertains to the person who's doing that. Obviously, in my case, I probably have a different evaluation standards than other people who are watching practice, which is normal and expected and fine. We all have different sets of standards that we are evaluating this game through and what our expectations are. That's why I think you find yourself, I think people are having such a hard time with the differentiating practice reports because at the end of the day, reporting is one thing, evaluation is individual to the person who's doing the evaluating. So for me, I'm evaluating through my own set of standards. I got my own baselines, all of that. That's probably going to be completely different than the next guy. So for me, where I'm seeing Brock Purdy look really good is short to intermediate processing, touch, uh, seeing the field, all those types of things. Arm strength looks like it's there for the most part, but Brock did have two misses today. Two misses, but if you zoom in or zoom out, however you want to quantify it, Brock has multiple misses with these types of throws. So it is it's almost like corner posts. It's almost like 15, 20 yard corner posts or deep balls. So this is where you can quantify it in two different ways. Right now, Brock Purdy is pushing the ball downfield more than any other quarterback at practice right now. He is consistently taking deep shots downfield where the other guys aren't doing it as consistently as Brock. So that's another aspect of it where Brock is taking these shots. He is putting that ball out there. I would say like on go routes. Like so today he had one to Deebo Samuel. And I want to try to kind of quantify this because I'm going to tell you where I was watching this. I've seen it kind of go different ways. So I'm not going to, I think this one's up for interpretation. I'm sitting at the line of scrimmage. So, like, I'm basically staring down the line, looking at the ball. So, and I'm against the right sideline. So, when Brock Purdy hikes the ball, sits in the pocket, and unloads this 45-yard pass down the right sideline to Deebo Samuel, what I see is the back of Samuel Womack and Deebo Samuel. So I have no perception of depth. I don't know if Deebo's burned him or Womack's here. I don't know what the depth perception is. So because I'm looking down the line, so all I saw was Deebo Samuel go up to try to make a play, and it looked like he had an opportunity to make a play and it looked like Samuel Womack got his hand on it. I've heard it as described as a underthrow, and understanding where where I was sitting and what I was looking at, maybe yeah, it could have been. But what I did see, at least from my angle, was it looked like Deebo tried to go up and get it. So I don't have a proper depth perception based on the angle I was at to really discern if it was an underthrow. But what I could discern was that Deebo tried to catch it. And it looked like he got his hands on it or got his like chest on it. And it looked like Womack might have batted it out. So I didn't have the best angle from that view because I was down the line and their backs were facing me. So didn't have the best perspective on it other than it looked like he had an opportunity to put his hands on it. So I've seen it go back. I've seen it kind of discussed both ways, and I will leave that one up for interpretation. That's one of those ones where you're like, I wish I could see it on tape. It's a perfect example. Like when Kyle Shanahan is asked about a specific play after the game, he's there, he's watching the whole thing. And then in the press conference after, they ask him, they're like, so Kyle, what happened on this play? One of the first things that Kyle always says is, well, I haven't seen it yet. Meaning I haven't watched it on tape yet. Because when you watch it on tape, you see the finer details of things. So what I will say though is it wasn't a completion. So Brock Purdy right now is he has a willingness to push the ball downfield. He is willing to push this, like, again, it's a double-edged sword because I don't think Brock Purdy has completed a long ball yet. I think he's overthrown I think he's overthrown Deebo Samuel a couple times. So again, it's a double-edged sword, and it's how you view it. The first part of him overthrowing, I was like, he's throwing it. One, he's attempting to go deep. Two, he's got the distance. The timing just isn't aligning. And more reps will happen with that, right? More time, more timing with your wide receiver. Those things will come into play. So I'm not quite concerned about it yet, but we are somewhat building a trend that I have to acknowledge. So far, so he had 2 deep throws today and missed both. I think it's being quantified as an underthrow to the one on Deebo. And then the one to, I guess they were both to Deebo. You had like a corner post to Deebo to the right sideline. It was probably 2 steps ahead of him. And then the deep ball might have been an underthrow. So this is how I'm evaluating Brock Purdy right now. Brock looks more comfortable. He looks like he's settling in. I'll tell you an example of how he is processing pre and post snap, where that's making me feel really comfortable. He looks good in the pocket. He's firing darts over the middle. You're seeing passes with touch. Right now, the number one thing that I would say that I could critique Brock on and what he needs to continue to improve as practice goes on is deep ball accuracy. So that's it. Everything else right now, I feel pleased. I feel good. I feel good about the short to intermediate game. I feel good about the screen game. I feel good about his pocket presence. I feel good about pre post snap processing. I feel good about basically like 90% of his game right now. And considering that it does appear that Brock is kind of not on this, might be coming off the snap share kind of on and off practices, because he did get, obviously they didn't practice the day before, um, but it's essentially a 3 day in a row practice. Just they had an off day, um, so it does look like Brock is feeling better, and he's getting to a spot where I feel comfortable with his uh bounce back from surgery. And so as I've discussed to you guys, a that's been a big point of emphasis for me in evaluating Brock, is me feeling comfortable that there's no real residual issues with his like surgery. And one, I talk about this all the time. It's not just the physical aspect, it's the mental aspect. I talked about how the mental aspect could be probably harder to overcome than the actual physical side, because you're worried about your arm getting hit. You're worried about this. You're worried about that. You're overcompensating. You're undercompensating. You're doing all these different types of things. And and as a quarterback, you don't have that luxury of time. You have to make snap decisions. And so that was one of the things that was one of the main things that I wanted to see from Brock, is I wanted to see how he responded from a mental standpoint. So far, I'm I feel good about I feel really good about his mental side. I feel like he's proven to me so far that is something that I don't really have to worry about anymore. So the next thing for Brock is deep balls. That's really it. Everything else he's shown me he can do. Um, and to kind of exemplify that today, he had two beautiful throws over the middle. I mean, beautiful. I had the most perfect view of it. Again, I'm sitting down the line of scrimmage, so I'm even with the line of scrimmage. And so anything that's kind of happening in the middle of the field, I just have the perfect angle of. And on the first one, it looked like it was going to be a pick, because you could see Oren Burks extending, going like this, and I was like, "Oh gosh, is he going to intercept Brock?" No. Brock got that ball right by Oren Burks. That thing came out like a dart. It was so like, and it was in bracketed coverage because you had Oren Burks underneath, kind of to the inside, and you had a safety over the top. So for Purdy, he had to fit it in to a window about this big, and he put it right on the money to Brandon Ayuk, and it was like, whoo, that was a nice throw. Like nice throw. And he did it again, almost the same exact throw over the middle, tight window throw, tight coverage, and delivered a dart. Just again, linebacker tried to pick it, but it was just in the perfect spot perfect window, and he just got it right in there. And I'm like, great throws, just great throws. And again, it's like I think of we've watched so much Jimmy Garoppolo, right? It's such a natural comparison because when we watch Jimmy, like we've seen a lot of suicide slants, we've seen him be careless at times over the middle. Now Jimmy was good at being able to get the ball over the middle at times, but he was a little careless. Like with Brock, I do not get that sense at all. We've done the film breakdowns. When Brock is going over the middle, now he's not perfect at it. We saw in the Raiders game, he almost had a couple interceptions. He has his moments. Seahawks, he almost had an interception. So it's like he's not perfect, but when he's on it, he's on it. And you know what I'm talking about too. Like when you see Brock on it, you know what I'm talking about. And so he's just fitting it right behind linebackers. So we got two of those. The play for me that like really just made me feel like he's back was a blitz off the edge from George Odom. So George Odom, they threw the house. They brought zero blitz. So they probably brought 6+. I didn't get a read on the numbers, but they blitzed Brock. They threw the house at him. And based on the way they were sliding protection, it looked like they were sliding protection to the right. So as a result, the defender is so reminiscent of the Dolphins game when Brock Purdy got thrown into the fire, right? And they're throwing zero blitz, zero blitz, zero blitz, free rusher, up the middle, free rusher, pew, 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 pew. Do my like Jonathan Gannon impression, but with defenses, pew, 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 just free rushers, right? And what was Brock doing? He was seeing it and he was reacting and getting the ball out. This was exactly like that, and it was my favorite throw of the day, and it was probably a 4-yard throw. And so again, that's why I always talk like it's partly why I talk about like I really don't care about completion percentage. I don't care about completion percentage. I don't care about certain things. I care about the context in which things happen. And with this particular play, George Odom, free. Just, I mean, he says hike. And again, I'm looking down the line of scrimmage. So George Odom is instantly there. And he's running straight at Brock. And I mean, he is the angle, he's not pulling up, he's running straight at Brock. This is how I knew the pre and post snap processing is still there. Because without hesitation, without even a blink of an eye, Brock Purdy goes, but it was one of his shoulder dips, change the arm slot, get around the defender, and just drops it into the bucket of Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason goes and does Jordan Mason things. And that particular throw, again, he's not perfect. He's got to work on the deep ball. I think that's a valid critique of Brock so far in training camp. But when it's so much more than deep ball for me for Brock, I'm trying to see the processing. I'm trying to see those situations where you put him in the pressure cooker and how does he react to it. And it was the first time I've seen him in training camp so far have to deal with the free rusher. And it just made me when he just kind of sidearm stepped it, flipped it to JP Mason. I just went, I was like, that felt good because that for a lot of quarterbacks could have been a sack. It really, really could have been a sack because George Odom got in there so fast. He was in there so quick that for half the quarterbacks in the NFL damn near a sack because he was in there so fast. But again, it's the wherewithal. Brock Purdy just flipping it. So again, Brock Purdy's not perfect on the day, but for me, these are the reasons why I had him having the edge on everyone else who also had good practice today. I would say all the quarterbacks had pretty good practices today, but all three quarterbacks had miscues. So again, it's all based on your perception and how you're kind of evaluating this. Brock Purdy on one Brock Purdy's looking super smooth in play action. He had a really nice play action. Again, turning the back to the defense, eyes back up, hits Juwan Jennings over the middle of the field for a really, really nice throw. Um, Again, like Brock is he's doing like you hear it all the time, like, Trey Lance or excuse me, Kyle Shanahan and what Kyle Shanahan's looking for in his offense and all that type of stuff. Like Brock is proving he can manage it. And if Brock get can start hitting these deep balls, oh, it's over. Like we're Gucci, like we're cooking. Like once Brock starts connecting on these deep balls and deep outs and corner posts, then there's no real worry at this point, at least in my eyes, um, because he's shown he can do everything else so far. And right now, his main thing he needs to work on is connecting with timing, accuracy, and proper velocity on uh, like I said, throws outside the numbers that are beyond 15 to 20 yards and go balls. That's it. And so if Brock can close that gap, then I feel very comfortable. I'm not fully there yet. Not fully there yet. But again, it's how do you evaluate that? Like some people will look at Brock Purdy missing the deep balls and be like, "Oh, he ain't it. He doesn't got an arm. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. He's got to hit these," which I agree with. He's got to hit those. I don't think that's untrue, but my perception is I'm giving Brock the time and the patience to work out that timing, to get that timing back, to be able to throw enough reps where it starts to click. I'm seeing everything else click. Right now, that's the remaining piece to the puzzle is deep balls. That's it. I see the arm strength. I see he's capable. Now we just got to work on timing and we just got to work on actually hitting these deep balls. And if we can do that, then we got a quarterback who can throw the football everywhere it needs to be. And that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. Justin, I see your super chat. I'll get to your super chat in a second. I definitely got some LB stuff for you for sure. Definitely got some LB stuff for you today. I'm gonna get through the quarterbacks. I got running back stuff. I'm really excited to talk about the running backs. I got some running back stuff. I got some DN stuff. I've got some wide receiver stuff. We got some good stuff. But because we're on the topic of quarterback, I want to get through all three. And because it is such a polarizing position right now amongst 49ers coverage, I want to give it its proper analysis from my perspective. So I'm going to go to Trey now. Trey today, I don't know if it is because I was so close to Trey today. Because again, I had such a good spot on. I was such a good spot. I was so close. I could see everything. Felt like I was on the sideline. I I don't know if it's because I was just so close today, but Trey felt super comfortable. He felt like he was just chilling in the pocket. And whether it was play action, whether it was standing tall in the pocket, play looked or Trey looked pretty good, man. Like not just pretty good, he looked good. Um it really felt like Trey. was on his way to potentially having one of his better practices. Um, he had this one play where, again, play action, uh, standing in the pocket, tough, whips his eyes back around, finds Willie Snead in the middle of the field. Actually would have been a potential sack on number 66, who I think is Daryl Johnson. I think Daryl Johnson had to pull up a little bit. But again, Trey, play action, whips head up, finds Willie Snead right over the middle. Trey looks comfortable, dude. I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm noticing with Trey, and kind of the thing that I've been looking for with Purdy is like, what is your comfortability within the pocket? And Trey looked comfortable today. And I was like, this could be one of Trey's best practices. Like it really was starting to feel like that. And like even like the things that Trey's gotten knocked for, kind of hitting the layup passes, right? Trey threw a screen to Debo Samuel, and we did a film breakdown on this specific topic. If you guys remember, when we did in the summer, we did the 3 breakdowns. We did Sam, Trey, and Brock. And one of the things that Sam and Brock did really, really well was timing and accuracy on screen passes, specifically wide receiver screens, right? We spent a lot of time on that. So if you were part of those lives, you know what my context is. So, and Trey struggled with that in game in the limited games that we got. So Trey just turns and just delivers, just whips this ball out to Debo right in the breadbasket. Debo Samuel was able to catch it. The timing was perfect because you had the O line run out. Debo ran behind him. It was exactly how you'd want a screen to look. And we've seen, from various multiple quarterbacks where not having accurate throws on screens really messes up the timing of everything. So I was like, oh, that's why I was like, oh, okay. Trey hit Debo on the screen. It was just like a nice little flipped it out, accurate, speedy, on time, and because of that, Debo was able to shake free. So I thought that was good. Uh, Trey had a couple good passes. He had one to Tabe Martin. Trey's really good outside the numbers. I feel like Trey does really good kind of outside the numbers, kind of where almost like where Brock is maybe trying to fine tune. It feels like Trey has a pretty good feel for like 15-yard outs towards the sideline outside the numbers. He hit Tay Martin for a nice throw. I thought he did a pretty good job there on that particular throw. And what else? We got some other Trey stuff. We talked about the play action to Willie Snead. He had another play action pass to Brandon Ayuk. I wrote specifically kind of emphasizing the urgency and accuracy. Again, standing strong within the pocket, delivering a good ball with accuracy and urgency. Again, didn't feel like there was any hesitation. Felt confident. Felt like he knew where he wanted to go with the football. I was like, this is what we've been waiting for from Trey, is just that comfortability, being able to let these balls rip. And I was really liking what I was seeing from Trey today. He wasn't perfect. He had, I would say, probably two bad throws. He tried to hit Braden Willis on a slant, but threw the ball behind Willis. So it was a really hard ball to catch, and Willis wasn't able to come down with it. And then Trey had the interception at the end of practice. So again, with Trey's interception, the process felt good. Like I was watching him in the pocket, and again, it felt comfortable. It didn't feel like he was pressing. from within the pocket. Felt like he was just kind of vibing, um, or whatever. He's just kind of just hanging in there, looking comfortable, and then he lets the ball rip, and D Winters just goes up and he snags it. It looks like he threw it right to D Winters. So D Winters had a nice pick, but it kind of soured Trey's pretty good day for the most part. Um, again, I don't know what he was seeing. I think Kyle talked about it a little bit. I think he wanted Trey to dump off in that scenario based on the coverage and what the coverage was dictating. I think that's where they wanted to go with the ball, but because of the relation of where the linebacker was playing in the zone, he wanted Trey to check it down. And Trey tried to let it rip, and it went right to Winters. He caught it, interception. And so it was like it was like, dang, like Trey was having a quality, efficient, and effective day. And then it really was the miss to Braden Willis and then the interception. So again, um, unfortunate ending for Trey, because I know Trey has been looking a lot better. I mean, really, the last like 3-4 practices, Trey has really been building a case. He started off slow, in my opinion, but it does feel like he's picking it up. And I mean, we'll see, man. I think Brandon Allen not getting any reps is a good sign of that. Um, and I think that's honestly how it should be. I don't, nothing against Brandon Allen, but we know what it is, right? It's like we need Brock to get a ton of reps. We need Trey Lance to get a ton of reps. And if these are going to be your three quarterbacks heading into the year, you need these guys to get reps, man. And if you're going to put Brandon Allen on your practice squad, like, I mean, I get you needed Brandon Allen because Brock Purdy wasn't practicing every day. But if Brock Purdy's practicing every day, like, keep Brandon on the sideline. Gotta give these reps to these guys, man. You gotta let them work it out. Sam Darnold actually had a good day. I didn't love his day. He had a good day though. Um, Same thing with Darnold. Kind of like what we've seen. He's been able to hit on passes over the middle. Um, he was pretty efficient on the day. He had one pretty bad pass. Um, but there was nothing that really like just I don't know. Again, Darnold for me has a different evaluation context than both Trey and Brock. I expect more out of Sam. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like I expect more out of Sam right now than I expect out of Trey and Brock. Again, for many of reasons that I've explained before. Brock's coming back from injury. Trey's coming back from injury. Year 3 for Trey, year 2 for Brock. I expect more from Sam Darnold. I expect Sam to look like the veteran. I expect Sam to be hitting everything because he does have really good arm talent and things like that. He had this really nice play action. He was kind of fading to the left, and he kind of did this, that where he just like flips his hips around and he's able to somehow sling this ball out. Um, it was a really nice throw. I was like, oh, but it wasn't a deep throw. It was probably like what 4 or 5 yards again, kind of in the flat, but it was a hard throw because of his body positioning. But again, wasn't bad. He had a nice play action. Cameron Latu had a catch today. Shout out to Cameron Latu. I was hard on Latu yesterday. I like, all right, Latu, we got to see it. And Latu had a nice catch today, play action over the middle to Sam Darnold. Little note on Latu, he stayed after practice, kind of behind where I was sitting, and he was by himself, and he was just hitting the sled over and over again, just working on his blocks, working on his technique, by himself, no one else out there. Him just hitting the sled, moving the sled, resetting it up, hitting the sled, working on his blocking. And I'm like, okay, I like this. I like this. Michael says, Latu heard you. Hey man, if that's what it takes. Like, it's not that I doubt the guy. It's just he's been dropping a little bit. And he had a nice catch today. Um over the middle, and I also like that he was working on his blocking after practice. So I'm all for the Latu revenge tour, for sure. Um, what other ones did we have? We had Darnold to Ayuk, Darnold to can't read my own handwriting. Looks like it says Bell, but we don't have a Bell. Is that gray? I have no idea what that says. Chicken scratch, Darnold to something over the middle. But again, so Darnold was he was okay. He was good. Like he was hitting on stuff. Darnold had a screen to Charlie Warner. What other Darnold stuff did we get? Let me check my notes. So Darnold again had some good throws over the middle and things like that, but I think Darnold might have had the worst miss out of any. So this is where it's like I hear people arguing about like misses versus near interceptions versus interceptions. Like this is a case where like I would maybe argue that this miss from Darnold was worse than Trey Lance's interception. Like it was such a bad miss. You know what I mean? Like where especially with the context from Kyle Shanahan where it sounds like it was just like it was more of an issue with the process of what Trey was doing, and he was trying to do something where he needed to read the defense a certain way, and he just didn't do that, and he threw a pick as a result. Where this throw from Sam was gross. You had basically Willis kind of running up the seam. It was move the ball period. I think they were in the red zone, so they're setting up for a touchdown. And I don't know if he was trying to set up a back shoulder because there's pretty good coverage on Willis. So I could rationalize that Sam was trying to set up a back shoulder, but from my angle, it looked so bad. So I don't know if it was a miscommunication between Willis and Sam, them not being on the same page. If Sam was trying to throw like a back shoulder, throw him open back shoulder, which could be the context, but if you just looked at it, the throw just it didn't look like it was in the vicinity of Willis, and it was just like oh, like each quarterback I feel like had one of those like oh. Like they had good throws. They had some good throws on the day, but they all had like one of those like, oh, want to hit that one. So I had it as I thought that Brock had an edge today. It wasn't a massive edge or anything like that. It wasn't like he just came out here and just destroyed all these other guys. Because I think all the other guys played well today. But each one of them had one of those like throws. And so kind of because of that, but again, I'm grading these guys all on different scales. And I've been very clear about what those scales were heading into training camp. I it's clear I can understand why some people maybe on Twitter aren't following along with the same context, which is fine. But I have my scales that I'm working off of that I've expressed, and based on the context that I'm working with, I felt like Purdy had the better day. Purdy's not perfect. Again, two misses on the deep throws. Got to clear that up. But for the most part, I really like some things Purdy did. So I'm feeling more comfortable with Purdy as the days go on. I mean, Trey and Sam feel pretty close, and I think that's a good thing for Trey. Um, they feel pretty close. Sam's had some better days. Trey's definitely had some better days. So I think Brock's kind of in his own category, and he's kind of coming out of that. But so far, man, I got you, Rob Zilla. Happy birthday, my guy. Happy birthday. All right, I got 2 super chats. Let me get to 2 super chats. That's kind of my take on the quarterback. I wanted to make sure we spent plenty of time on the quarterback because I didn't get to talk about the quarterback last time because I got photobombed by my little one. But Justin says I appreciate the quarterback breakdown, but he's like, I don't care. He's like, I don't care about the quarterbacks. I want to know about the linebacker competition. So the linebacking competition for me has really started to heat up like the last 2 to 3 practices, like where you're really starting to see guys flash. D Winters is flashing. D Winters almost had an interception on Darnold in Tuesday's practice, and he had his interception today. I've seen D Winters make plays around the line of scrimmage. I've seen him make plays behind the line of scrimmage, in coverage. You can see D Winters' skill set. D Winters feels like he's pretty safe. He feels like he's going to make the roster. He feels like he's going to be a guy that will definitely have a roster spot. But again, it's so crazy because DFF has made plays. Marcelino McCrary Ball made plays today. Marcelino McCrary Ball would add a tackle for loss on a Laybourne run to the right, just in the backfield. In the backfield before Laybourne could even touch the edge. Marcelino is right there. So, and I know Oren Burks has got a spot, but I do think that Marcelino has been making a lot of plays. And I think Marcelino has been flashing. And I think as we all, like, at least in kind of our lives that we do, we've talked about Marcelino McCrary Ball quite a bit. I think Marcelino's playing about how we anticipated heading into training camp. So Marcelino McCrary Ball is, I think, solidifying his roster spot. I think the 49ers would be nuts to attempt to not keep Marcelino McCrary Ball. I think that would be crazy. So I think Marcelino McCrary Ball is earning his roster spot, but that leaves there's someone good is going to have to get cut. Someone's going to have to get cut. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be someone. It's going to be someone. Jalen Graham might be a casualty just because I think Marcelino McCrary Ball is going to get a spot, and DFF is still DFF. He's still a quality player. So it's going to be interesting, man. It really, 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 really is. Is it between Winters and Marcelino McCrary Ball for LB3? I would say it's Oren Burks is LB3, and it's Marcelino and Winters trying to take RB3 from him. That's how I'd perceive it. So I think Oren Burks is your LB3 right now because that's kind of where he's been at, and he's done a decent job there. but I do think that it's Oren Burks' job, but Marcelino and Winters are some hungry dogs out there, and they're pushing. They are pushing. So, but that's what you want to see. Um, I feel I feel pretty darn good about the future of the 49ers linebacking position. Absolutely phenomenal room. We talked about it heading into training camp, right? Talking about how good these linebackers are. I had to trade one of these guys in my 53-man roster prediction because I couldn't cut them. So I had to get something for him because I was like, these guys are too good to cut. I can't even bring myself to cutting one of them. So it's starting to really look like that. And also on top of that, or let me get to this super chat first. Appreciate the super chats by both the boys, Justin and Jesse. I appreciate that. Jesse says, Brad, is it fair to say Trey is finally taking the reins, like grab the bull by its horns, per se, rather than last year it was handed to him? Yeah, I would say so. I feel like Trey knows what it is. I feel like, you know, he knows he has to compete for this job, right? Like he knows I think he knows he has to compete for a spot on this roster. Um, so I do think that I just think that Trey has built up his own kind of internal confidence. You know what I mean? Like, and I think too, when it's like you're competing, like there's a different mentality than trying to maintain. Like, there's a different mentality from being the hunter and the hunted. Right now, Trey is the hunter. Brock is the hunted. I would say Sam is the hunted. It feels like right now, Trey is hunting. He's hunting for his spot on this roster. He's hunting to ensure he's going to be the quarterback too. And I think there can be some kind of calm confidence that can be found like within that a little bit. And I mean, at least it's starting to feel like he's finding more of a rhythm, finding more of a confidence. Again, still we know he needs reps, but man, if honestly, like if we really want to talk about it, like if Trey was doing this stuff last year, I feel like we'd be pretty excited about it. Um I personally definitely wasn't too hard on Trey last year because we didn't know. We didn't know what Trey was at that point, and we just kind of had to like we knew he needed reps. We knew he needed to kind of just go out there and do it. And, so he was a bit inconsistent, throughout training camp, but we weren't killing him for it. We knew it was part of the process. So I think he's closing that gap on kind of the inconsistencies, and he's proving to be better for it. So um, I don't know. I think Trey's kind of proven some stuff. I do. I think Trey's proven that, you know, I think the biggest test for Trey is going to be these joint practices and preseason. Because I think we remember the Texans preseason game where he didn't play well and the fan base melted down a little bit. Um so with Trey, I think he's in the right stages of his development currently. And I think the next stage is all right, what does he look like against another defense? What does he look like against, you know, kind of a game simulation type atmosphere, things like that. But I want to talk about another room that I feel really confident about. I feel really confident about the running backs, man. Shout out to TDP. TDP is probably right now the player on the roster that has taken the biggest jump from year one to year two. TDP, we got football. Oh, hold on. I got to get that going in the background. I forgot. I forgot we got preseason football today. Hold on. Hold on. Hold up. Hey. Oh, hold on. Hey. Hey. Sorry. I don't know what the hell that was. Yes, football. Football. I don't care. Let's go. We got football. Let's go. Hold on. It's huge squirrel. I'm stopping the whole live so I can get I can get this set up. I got a big screen too, so I can like set it up on part of it. Let's go. Is that Kellen Mond? Is that the Mond Hive? No, or is that Dobbs? Is that Mond? Who is that? Is that Dobbs? Mond? Is that Kellen Mond? Oh, the Kellen Mond Hive is buzzing. Buzzing. I'll never forget because I was at the Senior Bowl where Kellen Mond was there. That was the first football event I ever covered as media. Was that Senior Bowl where Kellen Mond was, and I didn't like Kellen Mond going into the Senior Bowl. And then after watching him all week in practice, now he had a good Senior Bowl game, but I watched him all week in practice. I remember, I think I tweeted, I was like, Kellen Mond went from a 6th round draft pick to undrafted for me. I was like, this dude is not good. He's not good at all. God, he was awful. He was so bad that week. When you talk about bad quarterback practices, Kellen Mond had a terrible week. The fact that he was drafted, what did he get drafted in, like the 3rd round? Dude. And I think that GM got fired, and rightfully so. What a terrible decision. Like, what? Kellen Mond in the 3rd round? Are you kidding me? Dude looks like Gumby out here. Like, bro's got the he's got the flexibility of a tree limb. Like, oh god, it was. I remember watching Mac Jones. I remember who are the quarterbacks that the quarterbacks just weren't good. They just weren't good. They just weren't good at all. Oh god, Kellen. Sorry, Kellen Mond, man. Kellen Mond, not good. Not a good football player. Okay. Anyways, now that I got my football up, I got picture in picture. We got oh, good job, Kellen. We got Kellen over defender. Hey, prove me wrong, Kellen. You heard me. A room that I'm really excited about for the San Francisco 49ers as we get back on track is running backs. I'm really happy about running backs. TDP's balling, bro. TDP's balling. TDP beat Huff to the edge today. I haven't tweeted it yet because it got kind of buried in my notes. I understand. I take it back. I take it back. Respectfully, Kellen Mond, not a fan. But TDP beat Talanoa Hufanga to the edge today. And I was like, and I saw Huff just kind of sitting there on the edge, and I was like, oh, he's gonna tag him off. Nope. TDP beat him to the outside. I was like, TDP, you stop it now. You stop it. You stop it. Jesse Wade said, is TDP a sleeper in Dynasty? Bro, I've been looking at all my Dynasty rosters because I had TDP on like probably most of them, and I dropped him off most of them. Now I'm like, dude, how do I get him back on my roster? I know someone in my home league follows me on Twitter. Guess who they picked up? Someone in my home league follows me on Twitter. Guess who they picked up? like 2 days ago. They picked up TDP. Wonder why. Because all I've been talking about is how good TDP looks. But yeah, TDP looks that good. I'm so impressed. My favorite run of TDP today was a run to the left. He puts his foot in the ground. He levitates like 5 yards upfield. Like he's kind of like you talk about zone runners where they kind of angle. They're kind of angling to the side, and when they decide to go north south, they go north south in a hurry. That's what TDP did. He was kind of angling, and he put his foot in the ground, and he went north very fast, and he broke through the entire line of scrimmage, and then he just lowered his shoulder into the safety and huge thud. And I was like, it's like, okay, TDP. Like TDP is having one of the best camps out of any 49ers player right now. Him and Jordan Mason, like if like today in practice, like if you're like, oh, those are your 2 starting running backs, I'm like, yeah, we can get it done. We could definitely get it done with those 2. But they're technically the 3rd and 4th string. But as we know, Elijah Mitchell sounds like he's going to be out for maybe like a week or so. So Elijah Mitchell, remember what we talked about? The only way that Elijah Mitchell can keep his job if he stays healthy. Elijah Mitchell's already out. So this is that opportunity that we talked about in the offseason. Like, how does Jordan Mason take over RB2? This is how. It was already a pretty solid snap rotation between those 3 guys. But if Elijah Mitchell can't be available, Jordan Mason and TDP are showing that they can do it. They can do it. They are running hard. Those 2 guys right now are physical. You talk about physical running backs, guys who create and invite contact. TDP and Jordan Mason look phenomenal. They look phenomenal. They look great. Like if those were your 1-2 punches, like literally today, like if you were like, okay, my top 3 running backs are Jordan Mason, TDP, and Kalen LeBourne, you're like, yeah, we look good. We look pretty good. We know Kyle. Kyle's gonna scheme it up. Kyle's gonna put these guys in position to be successful. Like JP Mason, TDP, Kalen LeBourne. Yeah, we cook with that. We've seen Kyle do with less. So our running backs look good right now. Our running backs look good. No CMC, no Elijah Mitchell today. TDP looking good. And same with Jordan Mason. So not only those guys, Danny Gray. Shout out to Danny Gray. Really had a kind of a slow start. Definitely was a guy that I had high hopes for, but was kind of like, ooh, Danny, come on, Danny. Come on, Danny, we got to step up, Danny. Danny's stepping up. So I feel better. I feel better about it. Danny's definitely stepping up. Danny had the probably nicest catch. He's on my thumbnail. Danny probably had the nicest catch of the day on a high pass from Sam Darnold. Just absolutely elevated and caught it. I'm gonna have to say, not in practice so far. I mean, I see the wiggle that Ronnie Bell has. I see why people like Ronnie Bell. I see it. Like I could see he looks like he could be definitely an NFL wide receiver. But Danny Gray is starting to separate. Guys like Danny Gray, Chris Conley, and Tay Martin, I think, have a kind of different level of separation right now from Ronnie Bell. Tay Martin got first string reps today. I was like, oh, is that Tay Martin? Tay Martin, Brandon Ayuk ran out there with the ones. I was like, oh, what's up, Tay? Tay's had a good camp. Tay looks nice. Conley looks nice. Danny Gray starting to pull away, starting to starting to show some stuff. So overall, man, um, there's so much excitement about this team. Drake Jackson would have a potential sack on a play. I think he got past McKivitz. Um, I know people are just so focused on who won and lost reps right now. The focus needs to be this team looks ready, bro. I mean the level of competition. I was telling someone this at practice today, and I heard someone over saying it. Like they're like, man, these practices are competitive. And I was like, yeah, I think about all the competitions that are having in each individual room, and then combine that with the fact that they're competing against the other team. And it's just like right now, every single player who steps onto that field is competing like their life's depending on it, because it kind of is. These guys are competing like crazy right now, and it's showing. It's showing on the field, and I think that is going to put this team in such a phenomenal position to win a lot of games this year. So I've been really happy with it all. I really have. Like, the quarterback thing has taken on a life of its own, but even the quarterbacks, man, even though they're not perfect, even though they have their ups and downs and their kind of ebbs and flows, if you really just take a step back and just objectively look at it all, Brock's playing better. Like, I didn't even expect Brock to be playing at this point. Remember? There was a point in time when we didn't know if Brock would even be practicing right now. On top of that, Trey has answered a lot of questions and silenced a lot of doubters. His mechanics look good. His presence in the pocket looks refined. Like, he looks like he's grown as a player, and he looks better. Sam Darnold has looked he's looked good. You can't say that Sam hasn't looked good. Has he been perfect? No, he's not been perfect, but none of these guys have. So I feel fine, man. I feel good about it. John says, "What is your opinion on Kinlaw? Do you think he has taken a step forward? He looks stacked in a highlight I seen." I am so on. I'm so happy for Kinlaw right now. It also makes me happy the way that his coaches are talking about him. I mean, it almost felt like Chris Kosirk was going to cry talking about Kinlaw, how proud he is of Kinlaw, how just like, we know football is about overcoming adversity. Like, I think people just like they forget that, like, football is an imperfect game that people are trying to play as perfectly as possible, but within that you're going to make mistakes. Yeah, other guys are going to make better plays than you. It's a game built on adversity. Injuries are going to happen. You have to be able to overcome. And the way these coaches are talking about it is how I feel as someone who is a Javon Kinlaw fan. Like, I want Javon Kinlaw to be successful for the 49ers. Like, I want to see it, because I saw glimpses of it last year, right? We saw Javon doing good things in training camp, good thing in joint practices, good thing in preseason. Like, we saw, like, okay, Javon looks good, but he got hurt. This year, Javon looks like a different person. I don't know who this Javon is. I've never seen this Javon Kinlaw in a 49ers uniform before. He is quicker, faster, like, he looks different. He looks different. He looks leaned out. Javon Kinlaw, man, like, I get it. People want to call him a bust. People like, I'm not going to get my hopes up. That's fine. I don't care. You do whatever you want. But Javon looks good, man. Javon has looked phenomenal. He's been one of my favorite guys in training camp. A guy that I honestly didn't have any expectation for. I went into this training camp kind of like, hey, I'm not going to go into this like actively looking for Javon to stand out. Javon has done that all on his own. He has popped all on his own. He is just, again, the first day of one-on-ones and pads, dude won almost every rep. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy that he's playing like this. Obviously, we know what it is. Got to stay healthy. But if we're talking about, do I think he's taken a step forward? He's taken like 17 steps forward. That's what it feels like. It feels like the Javon that I'm watching is like he's taken a whole lap. It's not just a step. Like he's done a whole lap. He looks transformed. He looks like a different person. Like today, he came out of the locker room. He has his shades on. He's just kind of vibing out. I got a video of it. He's just kind of vibing out. And I'm like, he just looks different. And I'm happy for him. I really am. And I hope it works out. I really do. I really, really do. Justin says, what wide receivers are we sneaking on to the practice squads? Maybe they can sneak Tay Martin on because he's maybe relatively unknown. Maybe they can sneak Tay Martin on, but Tay Martin's been playing pretty well. Maybe they can sneak Ronnie Bell because he was a 7th rounder. So clearly teams passed on him. So maybe those are guys that they think they could sneak by. Connolly might be a little bit more difficult just because he's done it in the league before. But again, I think a lot of it has to do with like you have to view it as who's going to pick up our guys. I don't know if enough people know about. I don't know if enough guys know about Tay Martin yet. So we'll see. But it's going to be really difficult, man. It really is. But I'm really excited about this team. I'm really excited about what they have to offer. I feel inspired. I know people are beating themselves up over this quarterback thing, and I get it, but there's so much more to focus on this team, and I feel really good about it. I feel really good about the progression of the quarterbacks. I feel good about all these spots, all the things that we anticipated in training camp are coming to fruition. I feel good. I feel good about it. I mean, through 7 days of practice, I have zero hesitation thinking this team can go all the way. Zero. We know what it is. It's the same thing every freaking year. The only thing that's stopping this team is health. That's it. That's it. Only thing stopping this team is health. And it's been like that for the last 6 years. So as long as they can stay healthy, this team should be good to go. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I got to get out of here. Appreciate all you guys, as always, for tapping in, vibing with the practice breakdowns and all that good stuff. Y'all the best. I'm going to get out of here for now. But appreciate you. Smash that like button on the way out. I'm still trying to get tickets for tomorrow. So I'm TBD on if I will be if I'll be at training camp, but if there's a will, there's a way, and I'm going to try to get my behind out there to training camp. So we'll see how it goes. I'm on the hunt for tickets. Obviously, if you got any tickets, hit me up in the DM on any one of my social accounts. But hey, hunt continues. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here for now. Bye. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.